No matter where you are in the world as a Christian, whenever someone asks you if you believe in the Trinity and you respond with the affirmative, of course I believe in the Trinity, the most common objection that you will always hear to this is, so you're saying that 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1? How can that work?
What's 1 plus 1 plus 1? 1.
And that's on the Trinity! Word!
If you've looked around the internet for some time to try to find an answer to this question, I'm sure that you've seen many apologists say things similar to, well, what is 1 times 1 times 1 times 1?
1 plus 1 plus 1.
Oh, so 1 times 1 times 1 is what?
You can't use that. You can't
No,
use
don't
that.
tell me what I can't use. You're not my master. 1 times 1 times 1 is what?
Yeah, it's 1, but you can't use that.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Nice.
1 divided by 1 divided by 1. What is
You
it?
cannot use that.
Don't tell
you
me
can't
what I
use
can't
that.
use.
Or what is infinity plus infinity plus infinity?
Christians will point out that the God of the Bible, unlike the God of the Quran, is infinite. So it would be more accurate to say infinity plus infinity plus infinity equals infinity.
However, these are all terrible answers. The main problem with these answers is it confuses how we should be counting here. For example, if Matthew, Mark, and Luke are all men inside of a room, I wouldn't expect someone to retort when I ask them how many men are in the room to say, well, you're adding the men as addition. Why don't you just multiply them? What's 1 man times 1 man times 1 man? We should count 1 man. But that's clearly not the case because the question is a question of addition and not one of multiplication. So such an answer such as what's 1 times 1 times 1 clearly fails here. What about what's infinity plus infinity plus infinity? Well, this response, although maybe clever, confuses quantity and quality. When you are counting infinity, you're counting the qualitative perfection of the divine persons of the Trinity, rather than the quantity, which is the actual number of the divine persons of the Trinity, which is what the question originally asks. So then, how does a Christian actually answer the question, what is 1 plus 1 plus 1? Well, the clear and obvious answer to this question is 3. 1 plus 1 plus 1 clearly equals 3, but the problem with trying to impose this on Trinitarian theology is that we are confusing the category by which we are counting. Are we counting how many persons are in the Trinity, or how many gods are in the Trinity? Well, the simple answer to this question is that we are counting the number of divine persons in the Trinity, and not the number of gods. For example, we are counting Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But those are 3 divine persons, not 3 gods as the Trinitarian believes it. Now, to help elucidate this context, I thought that I should explain a key concept in identity, which is sortals. So, what is a sortal? Sortals are nouns that function as criteria of identity that specify what's being counted. For example, dog is a sortal that indicates individuated objects which fall under the category dog, by which we can count by. So why don't we count just 1 human? In a room full of people, let's say Matthew, Mark, and Luke, why is it that we count 3 people? When someone is walking 2 dogs, why is it that we count Jim and Fido as different dogs? Well, we count in virtue of the sortal being imported. The sortal man identifies and specifies a category by which the objects are. We count 2 men by the properties that make both men to be different. The sortal God, meanwhile, invokes indiscernibility. Thereby, the divine persons are identical to this sortal concept, hence all the properties relevant to it the divine persons would possess. But what about with Jim and Fido the dog, right? What helps us to make sure that these are different dogs? Well, the sortal helps us to classify and count the thing being considered here, i.e. how many dogs there are. Here we could count 2 dogs because the sortal dog has properties that each dog has that another dog does not have. In the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are all indiscernible relative to the sortal God. Thus we would count one God. The sortal person, meanwhile, is discernible insofar as their hypostatic properties are truly different, that being paternity, filiation, and passive spiration. So to solve this issue of the logical problem of the Trinity, or the 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 counting problem, all we need to appeal to is that an x and a y can be identical to the same g, but not identical to the same p. So, for example, if I was to get a haircut tomorrow, I would still be identical to the same person, but I wouldn't have the same haircut as I do today. Or, for example, if I have a lump of clay and I mold it into a beautiful statue, the lump of clay and the statue have different persistence conditions, etc., and thus they are different hylomorphic compounds, but nevertheless they are the same material object. And thus we have cases in which an x and a y can be identical to the same g and not the same p. Bear in mind, these are not supposed to be analogies for the Trinity itself, but just this concept of what identity is in the Trinity. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. This video shows that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit can be the same God, but not the same divine person. So with that being said, please like, subscribe, and share this to support the channel, and God bless you all.